For the first time in 3 weeks, we've seen roads in Mina, the Niger State capital, without security presence. For instance, this used to be a checkpoint. As a matter of fact, you can still see tires lying on the road, but no security agent to man the checkpoint. Now, it's not because they do not want to, but because the state government says even though it has extended the lockdown by 2 weeks, today being Tuesday is one of the windows it has provided for people to go about their normal businesses. Other days that the state government says people can also go out are Fridays and Sundays. Friday between the hours of 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. while on Sunday between the hours of 7 a.m. to 12 noon. Now, another good news we've received is the fact that the first index case that was recorded in the state is beginning to show signs of recovery. The test, which is of course the first test to be carried out, came out negative. However, a second test will still be conducted. And if that test comes out negative, it means that only one case of COVID-19 may still be in Niger State. The citizens here are happy that the curve of COVID-19 in the state is gradually flattening. However, perhaps it's not yet time for the state government to go to sleep. From Mina, Emperor Simon.
Thank you, Emperor, reporting from Mina in Niger State. The number of COVID-19 cases in Nigeria with no epidemiological link is now over 40%. That's talking about unknown sources of infection. This is a strong indication of the growing community spread of the virus. With 64 new confirmed cases recorded yesterday, the total number of confirmed cases in the country stands at 1,337. 255 cases have been discharged and 40 deaths recorded in 32 states and the Federal Capital Territory. And there you have the state-by-state breakdown of the cases. Of course, you have that on the NCDC website as well at www.covid19.ncdc.gov.ng, where you can also go for more information, including the advisory for the Ramadan period, as well as self-isolation and the quarantine guide. Joining me in the studio is a consultant public health physician, Dr. Alera Roberts. Thank you so much for being with us. Welcome once again.
Thank you very much for having me, Ladi.
So much has happened in such a short period of time. President Trump says he will send us some ventilators. I expect that quite a number of people will ask the same question. But the IMF has also approved this $3.4 billion loan request for us to be able to cover this COVID-19. And the National Assembly has approved that we also borrow money from the domestic market for the same purposes. And there are a number of measures that President Buhari announced yesterday that will be part of the gradual reversal of the lockdown. Do you think all these are adequate? Are they steps, in your view, in the right direction?
There are certainly steps in the right direction, Ladi. The question is, will they be properly applied? Because it's one thing to have the remedies that are required, and a lot of it is going to cost a lot of money. It's another thing for the remedy to be properly applied. So we all heard about the joke about the woman whose son was coughing and her friend says, I'll give him sanitizer to drink. You know, sanitizer is useful in corona COVID, but certainly not to be ingested or injected, or any other cleaning agent to be ingested or injected. They're merely to be used to wipe down the surfaces and frequently touched areas. So coming back to the issue of remuneration, we've heard it said that this last week, you know, people should spend that time micro-planning and decide how you intend to go forward, whether you are Iya Basira selling rice by the roadside, or you are KFC, or you're a school or a university, such as, or you're an organization with many people coming into the office to work. So this is the time we need to put those plans in place. And I know a lot of us in the Association of Public Health Physicians have been consulted to come in and help put in place public health measures that are tailored to each circumstance. So, for instance, the issue about schools going back. Now, we know the government is going to say a date when schools can return. And we know there are some schools that have been able to do online learning and some schools have not. So the issue is, when do you bring the children back to school? And when you do bring them back to school, what needs to happen? Because whether we like it or not, Ladi, this virus is with us until a vaccine is found. And by the best projections, we're talking about summer 2021 at the earliest. So whatever it is we're doing, we need to accept that there is a very new normal. COVID is not going to go away May 3rd. No matter what President Buhari announces, it is not. So the issue is, what are we doing post-COVID? How do we address the new normal? And this is not just this is not just from the government down to the people. This is also from the people between themselves, within their families, within their communities, within the society. Everybody needs to plan for a post-COVID Nigeria. So
let me put you on pause. I'm being told that it looks like we can speak to our correspondent, Olu Phillips, who is somewhere in the heartland of Lagos. Is Olu still there? Well, I understand that we seem not to have been able to make the connection. Olu, if you can hear me, what is the situation? How are people reacting to the issue of the lockdown being extended and then gradual relief happening, and then the whole issue of the gradual unlocking of things, curfew and all that? And are they still talking about the vexed issue of palliatives?
Ladi, let me start from the last to the first. Lagos has the unfortunate status of being the epicenter, so that everybody who came into this country and everybody who got infected came in through the Lagos airport, most of them, I should say. And so it meant that everything that concerns Lagos is something that was always going to be on top of the front burner, in front of the front burner, and it will continue to be a conversation. When it comes to palliative, and what is regarded as Lagos's biggest local government area, Limosho local government, and some even dare say it's the biggest in Africa. Now, I've been speaking to a lot of people since about one hour plus when we arrived here to ask them specifically as regards palliative. And they tell me that this is all about Photoshop. It's about photo business. That these palliatives get to a particular place, they take pictures, and that's it. And a lot of them that I've spoken to randomly say they have not seen anything in terms of what has come to Lagos State. And so the federal government, for instance, says it has given Lagos State over 6,000 6,000 bags of 50 kg rice and some groundnut oil. And Lagos State on its own has also said they have been distributing food items, as it were. But I don't know what it is. I don't know where it's gone to. But all of the people we've spoken to are not happy, and they can't wait for this extra 1 week to be up. They just want to go face their life. They don't want to be seen as beggars. They want to get back to the street, get back to their workplaces, and begin to just get their lives moving, Ladi.
Finally, Olu, before I let you go, because I see that there's a crowd gathering right behind you there, and one would have expected that, given the social distancing rule, there'd be some gap between them and yourself. The other point that needed to be raised is that with the relaxation measures that have been introduced, are people prepared to comply, in your view, with those gradual relaxation measures? Because it would appear as if some people think that come next week, Monday, the 4th, is back to business as usual.
Ladi, if I could hear you very clearly, I hear you ask how people are going to transit from 4 weeks of not inactivity into Monday, 4th of May, into a life of activity. I think there is there's a disconnect between what the president tried to say as regards Monday and days after Monday. So there's a disconnect, because people think come Monday they will just go to their shops and open. So they're not very sure. They don't know if it's about the SMEs, if it's about industrialists, if it's about the manufacturers, if it's about the office persons. Because if the curfew is going to start by 8 p.m. every day nationwide from Monday, it means, for instance, if you're on the island and you live on the mainland, Once it is 4 o'clock, you have to be back home before 8 p.m. Otherwise, you'll be caught in the web. And this transition isn't going to be smooth. People think when come Monday, 4 weeks, 4.5 weeks of their life being caged in by way of lockdown will be over. But I'm afraid this is not the situation, and this is where the campaign has to be stepped up and a proper explanation done to people as regards how they are going to transit smoothly into easing out from the lockdown, laddie.
Olu, there are people behind you. I noted that when I was about to ask the second question, I noticed that there are quite a lot of people hanging behind you. I wonder if they are aware of the social distancing rule and that you have repeatedly tried to get them to observe that rule as you are conducting this interview. Have you been able to succeed? Because it doesn't look like so from the picture that we have.
Yes, it's crazy, laddie. I came here with almost a liter of hand sanitizers. I've been trying to get these people to understand what it means to be physically distant from the next person. But they're not going to listen to any of that because as far as they're concerned, there's a disconnect. I mean, they need to, they don't understand what it is as far as all of this is concerned. They just want to hear, you know what? Get back to your business, get back to your life. And they don't even believe that corona is real. And no, hold on, guys. Whether you believe it or not, corona is real, and you got to keep safe distance, guys. Yeah, this is how terrible it's been all day. You can see, laddie. Oh my goodness, laddie. I don't know what more to say, but I'll be safe.
All right, I take your comment about you being safe, and of course, keep passing on the message and keeping safe. Correspondent Olu Phillips there reporting, of course, from the biggest local government in Lagos, Alimosho. Back to the studio where Dr. Roberts is still with us. Dr. Roberts, a typical example of some of the difficulty that this is going to face. And that brings the next question that I was going to ask, which is the issue of the transition. You already touched on it, where you know when we're talking about going from 0 to 100. It does seem as if there's some disconnect, isn't it?
Some disconnect, laddie. This is the reality. This is what we've been trying to say for the past 4 weeks. This was why the frontliners really wanted the lockdown, because it at least kept them safe. Now look at the problem that Olu is you could see the palpable fear in his face because he was now being crowded in by people breathing all these viruses onto him. This is the huge chasm of disconnect that we're going to have going forward. And how do you now tell the majority of the Lagos population this is not back to business as usual? The fact of the matter is that, to be very, very honest with you, a lot of people are going to be affected badly by getting the virus and become very, very ill. You know, because these are people whose immune systems probably can't withstand it, who have comorbidities, and these are an issue, and they haven't even understood. I mean, we've been trying to get this message across of comorbidities for years, even decades, and people just don't take it seriously. Is this what they're going to take seriously until the reality begins to happen? And this is not doomsday prediction, but there is going to be a second wave. There are going to be more and more positive cases, and there are not going to be enough health service delivery points to deliver service, because as fast as the cases are coming forward, frontliners are withdrawing from the front line because they've got to look after themselves. It is clearly obvious that government can't cover everybody. I mean, what did he say? I did a quick calculation. 6,000 bags of 50 kg rice. Do you know how many kgs that is? 300,000. In a state of more than 20 million? I mean, really, laddie.
Before we go on, I must ask, the situation in Kano, is that another example of what could possibly happen in more places if this containment and gradual relaxation strategy doesn't work?
I'm not too sure, because to be honest with you, we don't really have any indication that what is happening in Kano is strictly and completely COVID-19 related. A lot of us have speculated, could there have been organophosphate poisoning? It's happened before in Jos, where there was a huge outbreak of mercury poisoning. So to speculate about the Kano situation and use it to extrapolate what might happen around the country, I wouldn't be so bold. No. But that we would see, you know, failure in service delivery, oh, definitely we will see failure in service.
Coordination also seems to be another problem that has not been addressed by the president's broadcast, or indeed by the authorities. All along, you've had a situation where the federal government locked down Lagos, Ogun, and the FCT. But then you had about 33, 34 other states unlocking and locking and unlocking and locking up from time to time.
Absolutely.
And even these gradual relaxation measures that are to be introduced from Monday, the president says the state governors, each state, was at liberty to decide how to go about it and so on, which means that a state can go very fast while others take it slower. But then because they've gone very fast, possibly what's happening there could affect those who are still taking it slowly.
That's true, but that is the beauty, the disadvantage and advantage of being a federation. The state, I think it was very wise of the president to give the state governors that leeway to say, listen, you all have to, because at the end of the day, the state governors are still closer to the people than the president is. And if a state governor is smart and like Lagos, he will listen to his local government chairman. So what is going on in Alimosho is not going on in Etiosa. Therefore, you need to be able to then take in the peculiar context of the area, the community in which you are, what will work and what will not work. So yes, some states will move very fast. Cross River is a perfect example. And some states will be a little bit slower. And some states will be harder hit, Lagos, Ogun, FCT. And some states may not. Taraba, Yobe, Gombe will not face the same challenges that we are seeing in the Southwest. So giving the state governments liberty to read the situation in their states and react accordingly is actually a very smart move.
Finally, and I want to use this, I don't know if it's some form of extrapolation, if you like. One of the few countries, I'm told, that has no case of COVID-19 is Lesotho. And that's because, going by the arrangement, as soon as the first case arrived South Africa, Lesotho sent the army to its border and sealed it up. So even those who are citizens of the country who were outside were not let back in. With benefit of hindsight, could we be much bigger, be much more complicated, have considered such an option?
Not have. We certainly could not have. There was no way we could have. I mean, Lesotho, population-wise, they're so small. They are a landlocked country. And this is what we are saying. One size cannot fit all. This is what we are saying, because even when we came to the issue of the closing of our airports, for example, we all subliminally knew that until certain big boys had their children safely back in country, no airport was going to close. Because, you know, by comparison, a lot more of our children here are at school outside than Lesotho can boast of. So these are the peculiarities that we say you've got to read the context of what's going on in your country and what can help you and what can work for you. So no, we couldn't have done, even China, who could do the autocratic lockdown Wuhan, lockdown Hubei, didn't lock down the whole of China. And even now we've got a situation in one of the towns that are on the borders with Russia, and there's nothing they can do about it. Or, you know, they're trying to contain it as best they can. So one size does not fit all, not within a country, not even between countries. So everybody has to, you know, take the broad principles and the broad guidelines and then domesticate it to their local context.
Dr. Roberts, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. You give a lot of food for thought to those who are listening and those who possibly can think. Thank you so much for being our guest on the program today.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll go outside our shores indeed to find out what the update is on both counts. Do stay on with us.